second year of UCSB Crew, 1966-67, was a building year, but it also included several milestone achievements. We had established that we were a real competitive team on campus and on the water, but we still had a long way to go. Fortunately, we had an advisor and crew boosters who made things happen for the club. But first, Bob Kelly located and hired as full-time crew coach UCSB graduate student John Caskin, an English citizen studying here. John had rowed in England and helped start a team at the University of Wales at Swansea. He was a welcome addition to the program. The only problem we had was figuring out his British vocabulary. He kept talking about Rolex. Huh? We finally got that he was saying rowlocks or oarlocks in American terminology. And it wasn't port side and starboard side, but stroke side and bow side, meaning the side that the stroke oarsman or bow oarsman rowed on. The next development, a big one, was when advisor Bob Kelly, supported by the crew boosters, finally convinced the county supervisors to let us practice and hold 2 regattas a year on Lake Kachuma. We finally had a great place to row and race, one that is still in use today. Using funds from an ASB loan, the UCSB Crew Club leased 2 new racing shells from Pocock Racing in Seattle, along with 2 new sets of Pocock oars. They were delivered by Olympic gold medalist and Pocock agent Con Finley in January 1967 to our new home at Lake Kachuma. I remember some of us met him at the lake, and he told us, "You 4 take one end of the 8, I'll take the other." And he did just that, lifting it off his trailer and onto the stretchers. He continued to supply us with more shells and oars through the following years and was a dedicated supporter. The first of the 2 new shells was named the Red Baron, a fitting companion to the Charlie Brown. The second new shell was named the Vic, V-I-C, in honor of then UCSB Chancellor Vernon I. Cheadle. There was nowhere else to store the shells, so they ended up in the maintenance yard next to the park main entrance. Although protected, it meant a mile trek each way down to the main dock area to launch the boats each morning for practice. Oh, and don't forget the 2 sets of oars. It was slow going, time that was taken away from being on the water, and we had to reverse the process after practice, but we had no choice. The training barge, a work in progress for more than 2 years, was finally finished under the supervision of Coach Caskin. The campus contest to name the new craft resulted in it being called Think or Thwim. It was launched in the campus lagoon on January 21st, 1967, with all hands literally helping to make the move into the water. We then had a training platform right on campus where Coach Caskin could teach the technique and process of rowing. Much of the 1966-67 season's emphasis was on developing and building the club. Shell and Oar, the women's auxiliary, focused on fundraising, mainly by bake sales and sponsoring dances and movies. But there was one unique project. Back then, blue chip stamps were given as premiums for market or gas station purchases. We negotiated a deal with them. If we collected enough stamp books, we could turn them in for cash, hopefully enough to buy a new shell. We even spent 1 weekend canvassing Goleta door to door, asking for blue chip stamp donations. The other major achievement of the 1966-67 season was the first home regatta on Lake Kachuma. We actually had 2 home races scheduled. The first, on April 1st, was canceled due to bad weather. You could row in the rain, but when the wind comes up as well, the swells and rough water on the lake are nothing to fool with, as we learned the hard way the following season. More on that in another video. But we did hold the very first Lake Kachuma regatta on Saturday, April 15th, 1967. We hosted San Diego State and Orange Coast College. Our second season, we had a Frosh crew, a lightweight crew, and a JV crew. That weekend, the Frosh and lightweights raced at home, while the JVs traveled to Lake Merritt in Oakland to race Oregon State, St. Mary's, and Laney Junior College. There were still no shirts won, but it was a triumph for the club logistically to manage competing in 2 separate race locations on the same day. The 7th annual San Diego Crew Classic, which was called the San Diego State Invitational Regatta in those days, was held on May 6, 1967. It was a repeat of the first one UCSB attended the previous year, with many West Coast crews there. This time we fielded teams in the Frosh, JV, and Lightweight 8 categories. We still didn't take home any shirts, but we held our own in all 3 races. The culmination of the season was our first trip to the Western Sprints, the equivalent of today's WIRA Championship. The races were held in Long Beach, and we entered Frosh, Lightweight, and JV 8s, as well as a College 4. The event was great, seeing more than 20 crews represented. We still won no shirts, But at least we didn't come in last every race. Progress is slow, but was being made. By the end of the school year, UCSB Crew had made milestone changes which would take us up to the next level, at least as an organization. Being able to provide a full-time coach, a great practice and racing venue, and new equipment just like the big schools meant we could attract more team members, even for a club sport. The 14 original members at the end of the 1965-66 season had more than doubled by the end of the 66-67. There was still a lot of progress to be made. The UCSB Crew Club was firmly established, with its presence still continuing today, more than 50 years later.